Hello, students of SAKALA. Today I'm going to talk about the technologies that are creating tomorrow's jobs. Thank you to the Jobs of Tomorrow and Annika for the opportunity to speak to you, and thank you all for listening. First, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in a city called Madurai in the South India, which is thousands of miles from where you live in Haiti. I went to high school there. After finishing high school, I decided to study engineering in college. Why did I choose engineering? I had always been curious about how things work, and I felt engineering will be a good field for me to get into. To study engineering, I had to move to another city called Chennai. My family was first a little worried to send me there all by myself, but supported me in my decision. I joined the oldest engineering college in India, College of Engineering, Guindy, and graduated in 1971 with a bachelor's degree. I chose to study electronics and communication engineering, which was the up-and-coming field at that time. After several years, I did my PhD in operations management from the Tepper School of Business, and I was interested in using my engineering education as a foundation for making everything work more efficiently by using algorithms. Right after I graduated from engineering college, I joined a company called Electronics Corporation of India Limited. As a technical officer, I was responsible for designing ultrasonic equipment to detect flaws in metal. Another equipment I worked on was a fetal heartbeat monitor. During this time, I also got married and had a child. When my child arrived, I stopped working and I stayed home to take care of the child. Then, when we moved to the US and my child was old enough to go to school, I started my PhD studies at Tepper School of Business. In the US, my first job was at a company that tracked and improved the semiconductor fabrication process. I think all of you know about semiconductors. It is the material that forms the basis of everything we do today with computers, electronic devices such as smartphones, and the internet. Semiconductors start out as a material called silicon. Silicon makes up about 26% of the Earth's crust by weight, and it is the second most occurring element. And silica, an oxide of silicon, is the most common component of sand that you find on the beaches. Semiconductors start out with the raw material silicon, which is converted into thin wafers. Design engineers create different types of electronic circuits using software systems. Special equipment is used in each step of the process to convert a silicon wafer into integrated circuits. The wafer is cut into many individual pieces and packaged. The integrated circuits, IC for short, are used in the computers and other electronic devices. The process is very complex. A wafer may go through an equipment multiple times. To manage this process, we had a software system called Manufacturing Execution System, or MES. My job was to write software to make the wafer processing efficient by tracking every step. After several years, I became the head of the global software engineering development. As part of my job, I visited my customers in many countries: Japan, Taiwan, Philippines, Malaysia, Scotland, France, and UK. Later, I started a company with 3 others called Retail Solutions. It provides insights from retail data. Each of us founders had a different area of responsibility. My responsibility was to create the software and provide the results to the customers. we analyzed enormous amounts of data that is collected from retail stores and provide the results to our customers. The data is called big data because it is huge and it is not possible to analyze the data by humans. Our customers were leaders of the consumer packaged goods industry. Every day, we all use products from these companies such as Unilever, Procter & Gamble, Kraft, and Nestle. You will find products from these companies in your supermarkets. One of the biggest problems for the retail industry is called out of stock. When you go to a store to buy a product, sometimes it is not on the shelf. Then you buy some other brand's product or you go to another store. Retailers and CPG companies lose a lot of money because of this. One of our solutions analyzes the cause of this out of stock by looking at the entire supply chain and recommending actions to take. We had hundreds of software engineers working in my engineering department to write software to solve this problem and other retail problems. I retired from Retail Solutions in 2016 and I started to work part-time in mentoring and guiding students with their projects at the Carnegie Mellon University Silicon Valley campus. I am also very passionate about women's equality, and I wrote a book about women engineers from my engineering college. This book is called Roots and Wings. Your parents and family give you the roots and help you to become independent and fly away to do anything you want. I'm also very active in my college's alumni association to help the current students. I volunteer for an organization called Society of Women Engineers who work to advance STEM among girls and women. Let us look at the technologies that are creating the jobs of tomorrow. The automation of driving is being made possible by several technologies. There are multiple stages in the automation of driving. Many of the vehicles we drive today are manual. This means humans have control of all aspects of driving, and they also monitor how the vehicle is driving. The humans control the starting and stopping, steering. They control how the vehicle accelerates and how the brakes are applied. They monitor multiple gauges to see how the vehicle is running, and they take action. The next step in driving automation is the assisted driving with a single automated system. Cruise control is an example of this. In vehicles having the cruise control, you can set the speed of the car and let it run at that speed for as long as you want and then cancel it when you don't want it. The next stage in automation is partial automation. Here you have automation for steering and acceleration, but the humans still monitor everything and they can take over the control when needed. The next three stages are gradually increasing the automation, where the vehicle is completely monitored by the system. The system can see how the vehicle is running, it can sense everything around the vehicle as it is moving, and it can adjust the vehicle's behavior depending on what it senses. For example, it can change lanes at the proper moment because it knows whether there is enough room on the road to make a lane change. It can sense that the traffic light is going to turn red and the vehicle needs to stop. It can sense that a pedestrian is crossing the road and make a stop. All this monitoring and control is possible with the use of sensors, cameras, radar, and machine learning software. Machine learning is a branch of artificial intelligence, or AI. In order for the machine learning to work, it needs to be trained. For example, It needs to be trained to identify a human crossing the street from a truck that is stopped at an intersection. It needs to be able to see how many lanes are on the highway. It needs to be trained to know an object is moving or stationary. To do this training, millions of images are used, and humans label each image to say what it is. A machine learning algorithm studies these images and get trained to know the differences so that when it comes across something similar, the algorithm will know what to do. The labeling is done by humans using special tools. If Haiti does not do this already, this is an area that can bring jobs to a lot of high school students with a little bit of training. There are many technologies that can help with agriculture. The big data from satellites can be analyzed for weather conditions to understand what is the best time to plant. In India, farmers just use their smartphone to find out how to do this without any other data. They say that by doing this, they get much better crop. Drones, which fly without humans, can survey a field and determine what parts of the field need attention. This can save the farmer a lot of labor and keep the plants healthy. Sensors that are positioned in the soil can make moisture and other readings and tell the farmer if watering needs to be done. Software called predictive analytics can analyze the data that has been collected and provide forecasts. For example, predicting weather or other natural events. Robots can remove weeds, plow the fields, and sow the seeds. One of the terms you hear these days is IoT. IoT stands for Internet of Things. Today, all of us are connected through Internet. IoT connects objects. It makes things such as a water level sensor on a pump to become an IoT by converting the sensor output to something that can be transmitted to a software program which can decide what to do with that data. For example, sensors that are placed in a field can measure the crop health and send the signals to a program where it is analyzed and the farmer is given recommendations for how to treat the crops. This kind of farming using IoT is called smart farming. Just like plants, cattle or livestock can also be monitored with sensors placed on their bodies and connected to the internet so they can be monitored in real time. In the field of healthcare, technology is being used in several different ways. We all know that cancer is a deadly disease. It is the second leading cause of death. The first cause of death is related to the heart. Machine learning is being used to help pathologists understand the cause of cancer so that better treatments can be developed. Another use of machine learning or AI is in listening to the patient's symptoms to arrive at a diagnosis. A computer program talks to the patient and guides her through the process of finding what is wrong. Machine learning is also used to analyze data generated by X-ray machines, blood tests, and EKGs to come up with insights about the patient's health. Drug companies spend billions of dollars to develop new medicines, and it takes a long time. AI can be used to develop new medicines faster. They can also be used to find new uses for existing drugs. We saw how IoTs are used in agriculture. The principles of IoTs can also be used in the healthcare field to alert a doctor about a patient's health with specialized sensors. We talked about big data in the retail industry. Similarly, big data can be used in the healthcare industry to analyze a data library of medical conditions and their treatments. Finally, robots can be used to do surgeries, even complicated surgeries such as spinal surgeries. My university, Carnegie Mellon, has developed a tiny robot for surgery. It is called Heartlander. It can be introduced into the heart and it moves to specific locations in the heart and can be used to perform minimally invasive surgery and provide therapy. Technologies such as virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality can help in many different fields. Virtual reality, or VR, is a simulated experience. It is similar to a real-world experience, or it could be completely a made-up experience, such as in video games. Other types of such technologies are the augmented reality and mixed reality. The VR technology requires a headset. Using the headset, a person can look around the simulated world, move around in it, and interact with the objects, virtual objects in the virtual world. VR technology makes it possible to experience both sound and video feedback. One of the most useful applications of VR is in manufacturing. We can see what a finished product might look like using VR without creating an expensive physical model. AR and VR can help in training technicians to repair complex machinery. The technicians can understand how to troubleshoot problems using the AI-enabled AR and VR. They can also be trained to operate them. Finally, I want to talk about using technology for social good. We all have heard about the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDG. The Sustainable Development Goals guide us to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all of us in the world. They address the global challenges we face, including those related to poverty, inequality, climate change, environmental degradation, peace, and justice. The countries of the world have come together to formulate these goals, and we are aiming to achieve these goals by 2030, only 10 years from now. Hundreds of projects have been initiated by the governments of the countries that are participating in this initiative. In Haiti, your country, insights from mobile phone records are used to connect urban residents to jobs. In another country, GPS location data from taxis are used to reduce the traffic congestion and to improve key services like emergency response. In India, nighttime satellite imagery to monitor and ensure the electrification of rural areas is being used. Satellite data is used to improve crop productivity of farmers. I have given you some examples of the technologies of the future. I hope you find them useful. STEM education makes it possible to work with these technologies. I wish all the students in SAKALA a very good future. Thank you.